This morning, a really important warning about the potential dangers of one of the largest online gaming platforms in the country.
Yeah, Roblox is widely popular among children and teens, and now it's under investigation with leaders in our state questioning the platform's safety. Your reporter Taylor Knight live at the Capitol in Hartford explaining what's being done at the state level to protect children, and a lot of parents will be listening to this one, Taylor.
Yeah, it's a very popular game, and now the state is launching an investigation into Roblox, claiming that it causes harm to children, especially young children. The popular gaming platform Roblox is coming under fire by Connecticut's Attorney General. Attorney General William Tong said that more than half of the kids in the country play games on the platform, and the company is not protecting them when it comes to who and what they're interacting with behind the screen. Tong says the platform is used to target and groom young children. Melissa is a mom of 2 daughters. She says when they were in middle school, they frequently played on Roblox. She did her best to monitor her daughter's activity, but says the state stepping up can only help.
They don't know who they're talking to unless their friends are on it, but there's other people that can join.
And right now, Roblox is part of a death investigation in Enfield. We'll explain the connection there in the next half hour. Your reporter live in Hartford, Taylor Knight, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.